All right, Kevin, this is for Friday, March 15th. This is the daily wheat chart. We settled up on the day, but not at a new high settlement. 452 and a quarter, same settlement price as a couple days ago. Bit of a mixed bag here, but at least we rallied off of yesterday's low area. Still have 474 half. This line is dropping, and it can actually absorb buyings possibly through next week. Once tested, the market could then rotate back to this 430 and a quarter long-term support level, which is illustrated page 2 of the newsletter itself. But if we close above 474 half, this ultimate target here, I'm calling it like 1 to 2 months right now, maybe 3 to 5 weeks, depending. If we do rotate off 474 half, that could delay this. But the 510 and a quarter is expected following the recent test of 430 and a quarter. And the big question is, in my opinion, not if, but when. Because it's not really that much of a rally if you take a look. Given the rotations we've had in the sell-off here and the secondary sell-off here, rallying back, 3/4 recovery of the most recent sell-off is certainly not out of the realm of possibility here. You've got some low area here at 510, as you can see on this number here, 509 and 3/4. So that's all consistent. And as I was saying this morning, once we get through 474 half, it may not be an easy rally. If you take a look at the weekly chart, you got this low here at 485 half. This is the weekly continuation. And then once again 495 and a quarter. It's like once you get into the mid 480s on the weekly chart, you start bumping your head into this former zone of consolidation. But this is where we came off earlier in the week. Really? Geez, I guess so. That was Monday. That was a Monday test, wasn't it? Anyway, back to the daily here. I'm going to open this up and show you. If you look on the chart, I believe I've got 433. I'm sorry, 444 even. I forget the exact number. 444 even. Very simple channel structure. You've got this high of the low at 441 and 3/4. Little things all the way down, but I think if we break this today, 444 even, we could actually retest that 430 and a quarter area within the day. But holding above 444 even, I'm actually constructive. There's some minor levels on the way up, but for the most part, 474 half in reach over the next several days, essentially. So, we could talk about whether we liquidate one of those calls up here or we just let it ride out. I'm kind of inclined to let it ride out and grab the first sell signal on the way down, at least for liquidating one of those calls. I'm kind of leaning in that way, but I could be completely swayed. And if you actually, at your discretion, activated selling one of those calls up in that vicinity, you're not going to get a single argument from me. So there you have it. Let's move on to corn, which we're also positioned in right now. And this I have to get on the horn with these CQG people. I keep saying that on these recordings, and it's true. We go ahead and reconstruct this crap. So there we have the settlement back above this formation, 366 and 3/4 tomorrow. This is kind of what I'm looking for over the next several weeks. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That's the start of what I'm looking for. What I'm really looking for is that 1/3 speed line. To see if it's still there. It is. Yeah, projected off this high against this most recent low, and it's at 386 and 3/4 tomorrow. So we'll just call it the mid 380s over the next several weeks or sooner. We obviously have little levels all the way up, especially in the very low 380s, upper 370s. You can see this old shelf. But that's where we're at now. If we close today back below 366 and 3/4, that I think we just get out. I don't know if they're going to continue down into this 346 half to 350 area within a few weeks, but that would be my position on the newsletter. Like, as long as we're back below 366 and 3/4, you should prepare for this. So that being the case, I think if we close back below this today, we just get out of that call. And that other bid you have on the call, is that just that's just a day order, or is that good till canceled? I'm just curious. Anyway, let's move on to other markets here. Let's jump into lean hogs. We're rolling into June on Friday. Is that right? I'm sorry, Monday. But there's kind of a quick snapshot of what we got. We have a buy signal in the June contract from a few days ago. That's a descending 1/3 speed line. You know, the April contract pushed through considerably that day and then closed back below it that day, and then we settled above. I actually don't have the whole thing in my brain, but if you were watching the Lean Hogs, we pushed through here significantly. We broke back, but the June contract just played it out beautifully. You know, we held it one day, the next day closed above it, the next day held as support, so held resistance, held support in between the settlement, and and then we have follow through. So the 79.80 for this June Lean Hogs, I'm expecting this 87.22 area. I think if there is some sort of a retracement down to this line next week, that we grab it. Otherwise, we wait for this. Now, this on the daily chart, 87.22, is respectable. I'm calling it monthly containment. But if we settle above it, then we're looking for 92.05, which is on the weekly chart. So you and I could talk about whether to fade this move up in the 87 handle, whether it's outright short, the futures, or whether we play the puts at that point in time. And if we close above it, then 1 to 2 more weeks up to 92.05, which, this is an unearned buy signal above 73.75. I'm going to have to scratch my head about this. I do think as time goes by, let's assume that we continue. 85.37 is that last high in the weekly chart, but really that's that 92.05, which I have on if you scroll back, you'll see that's the level that I have as a kind of a horizontal line, 92.05, and this is weekly chart resistance. That's 90.42. I kind of like these plays where they take out old highs, and then it winds up holding, and then you fall back below. You get buyers that'll come in above these former highs, and then it's a bit of a trap. If we take this 92.05 out, though, this is a real rally. I mean, this is something I wouldn't be surprised to see the 130s perhaps, or at least this old gap, 113.5, which I suppose in the overall scheme of things isn't much higher than that, but it is. So 92.05. I'm sitting here babbling about this. I do think this is the next area we could stick our neck out if you're so inclined. But that 87 and change on the daily chart is, I think, more respectable right now because it's contract specific. All of this right here is just rollover. This buy signal is a rollover buy signal. Anyway, let's move on. I'm just going to jump right into. I know we got the cattle spread you're familiar with. I'm going to go into June live cattle right now. And just a reminder, we've got the support at 118.25. This channel top here, unlabeled, is in that 121 handle. But really, this is what we're looking for. Above 118.25, looking for 123.37. I do like this area as a sell zone for June. It's well below this that 130. What do you have? The 135 and change is way up here on the weekly chart. And I suppose if we were to settle above this is the case you're making by June expiration, perhaps. At the very least, you would double this channel, so that would be like up in here in the upper 120s, low 130s. But anyway, 123.37, good area, I think, to sell when we get there, essentially. And inversely, if we settle below 118.25, it's a good place to sell and go short down to the 114 handle, and you can see that on the newsletter itself. Ethanol has a bit of a buy. I'll just show this to you. We got a secondary buy signal. We tested support earlier in the week at 1.293. We got a secondary buy signal here on today's close above 1.350. We're still looking for a 1.4, just a simple trend line. Is this it? No, sorry. That's a monthly chart. Sorry about that. Just a simple trend line. Yeah, 1.412 off of these highs going back to the 2016 high. Overall, I guess I should pull up. Well, it should be in here actually. There's a. I'm still looking for this, and this is kind of, this is just a simple. There's that 20. No, that's 2017 high. just so this looks familiar to you, right? That's that last chart we just looked at. So we are above this. This is that 1.293 as well all week. This channel structure we tested last week and this week, and now we're rallying off of it. In the big picture I've been mentioning in my newsletter, since we settled above this about a month and a half ago, is 1.504. So that trend line I showed you at 1.412 a moment ago, that's a mere hesitation point. I like that because it's actually kind of consistent with some of these old lows going way back, that 1.412. So it is a level that could, when we get up there, contain buying, say, through April into May. But overall, I think the market wants to get up here. That's what I'm thinking. So this is a market, ethanol, it's thin, I suppose. I don't know if you've traded it before, but something we could keep, in mind. On to RBOB. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. My apologies. All right, here's that channel top. We settled negative on the day. Not until we really close above this formation is this market come into a secondary buy mode. Otherwise, it is essentially testing resistance. But it's the kind of market I'm feeling increasingly like I don't know if I want to fade this move. What kind of gratification might we get down in here? You were going to look at RBOB. I could see the channel base. You've got this weekly formation here. And this is what I was talking about. I'm going to fall back into the 1.92 handle. This channel formation, this one, I like these. This is just as strong as the extreme one because you've got a high and the intermediate low really from those two highs is off of this channel formation is based off that. So I think you've got this low here at 1.9077 and you've got this formation at 1.9202. I think that's probably the area that if I were to fade this move, it would be up in here. So there's that. I will put these in 1s and 2 columns when I'm done here. Crude oil, once again. Well, you've seen this before. You're familiar with this. We settled. I'm not even going to illustrate that other one. We settled above this formation a couple days ago. The 61 handle, you can see on page 2 of the newsletter itself. That is our long-term resistance that we're anticipating, and I think we need to be cognizant of that. We could get up there today. It is possible, but I think by the end of next week is likely. So long as we keep trading above this 57.26 short-term flag, and it's been a 2 to 3 week target anyway, and it remains so above this formation at 54.78 tomorrow. So that's just reminder stuff. This is considered a 2, of course. We just looked at May corn, soy meal, not worth mentioning right now. Soybeans, I'd mentioned. Here we go again. Damn it. I'd mentioned a descending speed line in yesterday's video. Is this it? No. Bear with me. That's not it either. Here we are. Okay. This is the high. Following this low, this is the high. So we're projecting off that high, and we took out this low. So this is a valid speed line. And that was at 908 and a quarter today. We got it at 906 and a quarter. Tomorrow's it's at 9. Come on, you. 907 half. So holding below this, the market remains, vulnerable to continuing south. We're still sort of expecting this thing here. 856 and 3/4 with a stop along the way. By that I mean hesitation along the way at 881 even. So this is all reminder stuff. If we're going to do anything, is to play the short side below this, or play the long side above it. If we're just looking for the next several weeks in soybeans, otherwise we are waiting for this support to buy into, or that resistance at 941 and a quarter. And I'm going to have to redraw this again, which you'll see in just a second. There it is right there. 941 and a quarter. So that's kind of the big picture, this range, 857 even and 941 we'll call it. Excuse me. So, sorry about that. Let's see here. got wheat, did the soybeans. S&P, I'll remind you here of this channel formation. You know what? It's just easier if I pull it up on the newsletter itself. So I'll show you here in just a second. This is a big test coming up. 28.38.5 right here. If we close above it, and we're much closer to it than this chart shows. Here's a great example. You've got a key reversal high on the weekly chart. No two ways about it. And we're right back at this. This key reversal high in the S&P, it's almost a reliable buy signal. It's the weirdest thing. Anyway, closing above this, I don't know how we might get long the S&P. Maybe you can start looking at that, 2840, 2850 calls, or whatever you think. I'll leave that to you because you seem to be pretty talented at the whole volatility and timed expiration and so forth. But I think we should prepare for that. I like going long the S&P. I've never enjoyed going short unless there's a golden setup, and those are tough to come by sometimes because they're always fundamentally oriented. It seems it's like some crisis, and boom, you're out of there. Anyway, let me go back down to our. Let me start with the euro currency. I'm just going to whip through these because I actually haven't looked at them myself. Still in the middle of this range between 12.12 and 15.05. Nothing really to do, but it's showing strength, as you can see. Canadian dollar still showing strength following this settlement yesterday above the 1/3 speed line. I think we should look at this area as a short sale or buy puts. And this tomorrow, tomorrow is at 75.63 to 75.72. Just call it 75.62 to 72. 62 to 72. That is our area. I'll even 0.7562 to 72. I'll put that right there. I'm going to eliminate that. So that's what we're looking at right here. If we close above it, then I think the 77 handle is likely within a month or two. This is a daily chart, sorry, within several weeks. So we're several days probably from testing this. We're clearly above these former lows. We obviously, this was the buy signal a day ago. This is all hindsight, of course. I know at the time I was saying this is a bit of a mixed bag because we have this former channel bottom that I've been talking about. But I do know that once I drew this and saw that if we settled above it, I'm reluctant to sell into this channel structure. And obviously that's still true because we're above it. So this is what we're looking at right now. You and I could talk about this tomorrow. I call it a strong 2. And let's go on to the yen, which I'm sure will be nothing to talk about. Once again, weekly chart, nothing going. British pound, excuse me, continued strength. So once again, this is a weekly chart, 28.31 support. No reason to really sell this unless we settle below it. As long as we're above it, this market can continue to creep higher to this formation in the 38 handle. Gold. We talked June today, I believe. Yeah, this is the June chart right now. Here we go with the CQG BS. I'm amazed that they I can't believe the price they shot you. They obviously didn't look at mine, and obviously you would think that from my perspective I don't want to shake the tree too hard because I don't want them to wake up and say, Kerry, we've rethought your pricing. It's just yeah. But we'll keep this in mind. In a week or two, maybe I'll send them an email or make a call and just say, I'll just put it out to them. Listen, I'm taking CQG, and I'm not going to take it for a penny more. But why can't you give my associate the same thing for the same price? He's willing to sign the dotted line. I think I'll do that in the next week or two. But anyway, so 1297.6. That's the channel bottom right there. That's what we got. And we failed essentially after closing just above this 1/3 speed line. There's also these old lows. This is still kind of a rough head and shoulders, obviously. So if we settle below this, I think it's a good go with. You know, I'm willing, and you can take a look at the risk and how you might want to manage it. But, I wouldn't, how should I put this? If we settle below 1297.6, but we do not settle at a new low settlement, which is 1291.2 from a couple weeks ago, it is a bit of a mixed bag. But I don't know if I want to wait for the settlement below 91 and a quarter, because that could mean we settle down here, you know, down into the 1270s perhaps. And then what? Now we're already halfway down to the objective. So, you know, we're bullish above this line, truly, and bearish below it. So we can talk about this. Silver. Silver dropped after almost testing this channel formation. So we're getting close to this 14.901. If we settle the week, I don't think we're going to because it's quite a move for just one day. But let's say next week when this channel formation is 14.963, which is still just below the low from a couple weeks ago. We get a settlement, a weekly settlement below that. We play the short side in silver would be my recommendation. Otherwise, this is still support. It's funny, you can sit here and say, well, we're going to sell it. Once it settles below that channel bottom, we're going to sell it. All the while, it's merely testing support. And it could actually wind up then rallying up to the $16 area over the following month or two. Copper dropped. Weekly chart. So we have this formation here. We're not going to test it tomorrow with a day left, but 85.93 next week. Yeah, that's our support. So we can talk about that as well. Almost done here. This is the longest video yet. Jesus, 21 minutes. Platinum. Nothing to do. 30-year bond will probably look the same as it does. And this big picture resistance. Do we do anything in here? This is the big question. I do have to start doing the 10-year as well, which I will over the weekend. And finally, NASDAQ. Okay, yeah, still hanging in there. After a near key reversal high, this market is right back as well. I think what we're doing is we're waiting for this formation. Settlement above, bullish continuation. Otherwise, it is an area that can contain buying through the second quarter. We could collapse back into this area within a month or two. So that's all I got, Kevin. 22 minutes, and we'll talk in the morning, I'm sure.